Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available on Anchor. And if you'd like to contact the show, you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Joining me tonight to look back at Leeds' season back in the Premier League, Paul Morrissey. Paul, how you doing, my man?
How's it going, Noel?
Brilliant, good, great to have
Finally
you on.
Back.
That's it. We're going to take a look back at the season, but I suppose before we start, where did you begin? Where did the love for Leeds begin?
Well, my dad was a Leeds supporter, so I've been supporting them all my life, really, and through pain and heartbreak and 16 years of pain, I suppose.
Okay. So, this was follow Leeds or leave the house type of thing, was it?
Well, you have no choice once you come into my house, so...
Okay.
Championship and League One was the...
That's it. It's fair to assume it took a long time for Leeds to get back into the Premier League, but last year they finally did it. I'm sure to the relief of yourself and a lot of the fan base. What was the feeling like then when you finally got back in there?
Well, I suppose it was a bit hard with Corona and all that. It wasn't the same, but it was just brilliant. It was almost didn't feel real, I suppose. And the season before, failing the semi-finals and then just didn't get there. But we eventually got there in the end. It took a while, though.
Yeah, throughout the whole of this season, I've spoke to lads on the show. And the one thing that comes through is there's certain grounds and certain teams that missing the fans is a huge thing. And I say to lads, Ellen Road is one of those grounds. When they have a full house there, it's a very daunting place to go and get a result.
Yeah.
As I well know as a Liverpool fan. Yeah.
Very hostile environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was, I suppose before we get into looking down through the season, stuff like that, what was your kind of aspirations for the season, if you like, when you first kicked off in the season?
Well, any promoted team, just stay up and after that, see how it goes, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose.
Hopefully, maybe beat Man United and then that would be good, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. As every team. Let's get into the season then. Obviously, back into the Premier League with a baptism of fire against the champions, Liverpool. But what a hell of a match. What a way to open up your account in the Premier League. It was a fantastic game.
Yeah, well, we didn't really know how we'd get on. The likes of our players, you didn't think to take it to the next level, but the way that game went, it was a bit of a basketball match. It was we attack, you attack. And when we conceded that penalty in the third minute, I thought the floodgates could be opened. I was like, oh, here we go. But then we crawled our way back and we were unlucky in the end not to get a point or even 3 points, but
it was a serious wake-up call for Liverpool that day. It was like Leeds are back.
Yeah.
Even on the back of a loss, you had started out the season obviously getting the plaudits from the pundits already that it was great to have Leeds back in the Premier League, that's where they belonged. And it was never going to be easy, of course, facing Liverpool straight off the bat, Couple of interesting results then followed that. Fulham, Sheffield United were a little bit iffy, but then the draw against Man City was a big result.
Yeah, it was. And I feel like if you had the crowd in there, we could almost won. They would have pushed us on that extra bit. Rodrigo came on and made the difference. Obviously got the equaliser, but it's a good game in the end.
Yeah, and it was safe to say at that time it was a good time to play Man City as well because they were kind of a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, but they were on a bad run at the time.
Yeah. Then the result against Wolves didn't quite go your way. It was a 1-0.
It was one of those games. Wolves sit back a lot and defend, and we found it hard to break them down. And then they got a deflected goal, and then it was sort of a damp squib in the end.
Yeah. But then you got the big result against Villa, 3-0, which was a massive result. And I think if I'm not wrong, Villa were nearly coming off the back of the hiding that they given Liverpool, the 7-2 or something it was.
Yeah.
So
Villa were in great form.
Yeah, that was
Bamford stepped up and got a hat-trick.
But then followed two bad results against Leicester and Aston Villa, the 2-4-1s. And then that's when people were starting to say, well, are we
That
questioning
had
the
me
Leeds
worried
again?
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I our defending was shocking those first few games. I don't know. We were missing Ben White, I suppose, as well, and we were trying to get the new defenders to gel, and it just wasn't going our way. But we were unlucky with the injuries to our defenders this season, as well as Liverpool.
Yeah. But then a massive result then against Newcastle, 5-2. That was a huge result.
Yeah, that was a great result for us. That was very attacking and conceded two sloppy goals again, but just attacked more than them and had more chances and scored more, I guess.
Yeah. And then you rolled on to United, Manchester United. That was a crazy game. I mean, I've never
Yeah.
seen anything like that. It was like you didn't start playing nearly for the first 25, 30 minutes, and the
Uh,
game was already over.
the
Scott McTominay, I think, bagged the brace
we
very
made it.
quick.
We made him look like a world beater. We were just shell shocked. I think the occasion got to us a bit, and it was hyped up so much that the players didn't know what to do really. And then
Yeah.
we were 3-0 down by the time they realised, so it was a bit hard for us.
Yeah, I remember watching that game, and I was sort of hyped up for that game as well because Leeds were back in the Premier League against United, and it was like with all the
Yeah,
connections between both clubs and stuff like that, and the rivalry that was there before. I was thinking Leeds would be well up for this, but like it's mad when you look down through some of the results. Like, I mean, some of them are like basketball scores. You know what I mean? It's just crazy the
it's
attacking and the
it's
lack of
uh,
defending.
it's either we win or we lose. There's not many draws this season.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 draws the whole season.
But it's mad even when you look at some of those results that are even kind of around each other. Like, week 13, you beat Newcastle 5-2. Week 14, you lose 6-2 to Man United. And then week 16,
I
you
know.
go out and you trash West Brom 5-0. It's just like
I think
insane.
I think our record against the bottom teams was actually very good. I think it was just the teams that step up we struggled with a bit, and then the likes of Palace and Leicester, they kind of found us out a bit. But then once our defending picked up, I think we were able to cope with those teams a bit better.
Yeah, I think we'll get on to the run in because I look back at the run in today, and your run in to the end of the season was outstanding. I mean, just result after
Yeah,
result after result. It was real proper form. Probably some of the best form that was in the league at the time. Um, and
yeah. I
new,
think I think we were second on the form table at the time to Liverpool. I think us two were the best form teams the last 10 games.
yeah, it was very, very impressive. But we'll go back after West Brom, then losing 3-0 to Spurs. Um, again,
Yeah, it was one of those games. It was our own mistakes kind of cost us, and then it's hard to claw back a 2-3 nil lead. Then it's hard to come back from that.
yeah, absolutely. And then went on a good 3-1 win against Leicester, avenging the previous loss. Um,
Yeah, well, I think that was the first time we'd beaten a sort of a top six, if even we call Leicester a top six team. But it was a massive win for us. I think Bamford scored a screamer of a goal.
yeah, absolutely. And then the 4-2 game against Arsenal. I was looking at that game before you even got into that, and I was thinking, that's a game that's tailor made for Leeds now because Arsenal were like a wounded animal at the time and they weren't playing very well and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I think they were very up. They were very up for that game after the 0-0, which we should have beaten them. Actually, we battered them at Ellen Road, but I think they were very up for that at the time. And our keeper made a few mistakes that he probably shouldn't have made, and then we were actually unlucky not to come back in the end. We had a fair few chances, but just wasn't to be on the day, I guess.
Yeah, you were unlucky with the keeper as well, in fairness. I mean, he's a young lad, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's a young lad, but
Yeah,
he's improved as the season's gone on. Like I think
yeah,
he broke Joe Hart's record for the clean sheets by the youngest age, 10 clean sheets. So
yeah,
he's a very
absolutely.
high ceiling, I'd say. He could be a
Yeah,
top keeper one day.
absolutely. Then the 3-0 win against Southampton was a really big win because Southampton at that stage hadn't dipped in form yet. They were still having a strong season. So to beat them 3
Yeah,
0 was a very big win.
I think that was a very close game. I think it was just a case of us running them into the ground. We're a very fit team. I think they just couldn't keep up with us. And I think it was the last 15, 20 minutes we scored most of our goals.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was one of those games as well. I'm not sure. Was Danny Ings injured or something like that? And he was huge for them at the time. And I
Yeah,
think, I think if I'm right, he had gone out injured, and he was scoring most of their goals at that stage in the season. Um, then it,
yeah,
then it,
they've been on a terrible run.
Yeah, they pitted off horribly towards the end of the season on a really bad run in the new year. West Ham lost 2-0 to them. They've had an outstanding season under Moyes.
Yeah, they've been great this season. I think they've just been very resolute and a very functional team, and they've got great results. And sure, Lingard's been a revelation for them, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we get into, I suppose, starting from game week 28 all the way to 38. This is where the run starts. And this is where you see, as you said, you see a lot more defensive qualities coming through, the keeper's coming into his own, and
Yeah,
being more resolute. And again, not quite scoring as many goals, even though there was a big win against Burnley in there, and a big win against Tottenham, but not scoring as many goals, playing more a sort of a structured way of football, not being as haphazard, if you like, all out attack kind of thing. There was more sort of structure to the team, if you like. Starts out with a
yeah,
good draw
we've
against Chelsea.
we've definitely learned about these last 10, 11 games. I think we've been more wiser and haven't go full gung ho in some games, and we pick our moments better, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
you also stood up. A lot of the games have been tight, but you've
Oh
seen them
yeah.
out. Yeah. So
We'll always have chances. We always create chances against any team. It doesn't matter who we're playing, really.
yeah, absolutely. So Chelsea, you started off obviously with a Chelsea 0-0, which was a huge result. I mean, this was Chelsea
Yeah.
who were absolutely flying at the time.
I think they just been beaten Atletico in the Champions League 2-0, so
Yeah, and
it's a great result.
I was looking at that game thinking there has to be goals in this game with the strength of Chelsea up front plus Bamford and stuff like that. I couldn't believe it finished 0-0.
I think
Um,
it could have gone either way. We had a great chance at the end with Rafinha, and Mendy made a great save, but
yeah,
it's a good game actually for a 0-0.
yeah. So then a good win over Fulham 2-1 and over Sheffield United. Which you would kind of expect. I mean, they were both down the bottom of the league.
Yeah,
Obviously Sheffield United had
that's
absolutely nothing to play for really when you think about it.
yeah, they've been terrible this season.
Yeah. Fulham, I think, were still in the shake-up at that stage. They still had a chance. Um,
Yeah, we kind of said if we beat them, then we're safe. We wouldn't have to worry about the rest of the season, sort of thing.
yeah. And then went on a good win against Man City, 2-1.
Yeah, well, Stuart Dallas, the man, came out, was the
Yeah.
95th, 96th minute,
Yeah.
ran from his own half and scored.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. And then followed that up then with a fantastic draw against us with a late equaliser. We were shocking that night
Yeah,
when you think about it. We like
yeah, that was, I suppose
first,
everyone was rooting for Leeds that night because the whole ESL thing.
yeah, yeah.
But
That was such a weird night. I mean, like we came out had a great first half, then you came out and had a great second half. It was just a weird match, and
yeah,
it was weird when I look back on that one because everyone was thinking Asher, like we were well off top four at that stage. We were thinking Asher, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. This is a throwaway game. If this ESL crap happens, what difference does it make anyway? You know, but could have ended up
yeah,
being pivotal
exactly.
for Liverpool. You know,
Yeah,
then
that's it.
go out then and get a 0-0 draw against United, which effectively ended their chances of a title race. They were still talking about still being in
Yeah,
a title race, even though it was a stretch. But certainly that draw ended that.
yeah.
Um,
That was a big game for us, I suppose. After the 6-2 defeat, we had to sort of give a big effort and trying to get the win, but it was a very tight game.
yeah, absolutely. The Tottenham win was a huge one, the 3-1. Um, again, they were in a bit of turmoil. This is where we were kind of saying, you know, Tottenham were sort of going through that whole Jose thing and stuff like that. And, you know, Ryan Mason had come in. I think I don't know if he was in at that. He probably was. He was well in at that stage, I suppose.
Yeah, he
But it,
was.
but it,
I just didn't think Spurs were up for it at all that game. Like the likes of Dele Alli, he wasn't up for the running or the intensity of the game at all.
yeah,
And
Spurs.
Dyer is a shocking centre back. The mistakes he made in that game were disgraceful.
Yeah, and like you look at Spurs, it's just they drifted totally out of the league, and then the last day of the season, they basically handed fourth spot to Chelsea. It was strange,
Yeah,
really,
helped
you
him
know.
out.
Got down and got a huge result against Burnley, 4-0. Absolutely put them to the sword, which is not an easy thing to do against a Burnley
Yeah.
side at all. And I remember looking at that and I was thinking, Liverpool had Burnley then coming up, I think, the following week. And that was a huge game for us in terms of getting top four. And I was sort of thinking to myself, look, Leeds is after giving them a proper hiding there, you know what I mean? Surely, God, we can go there and do the business, you know, but
Yeah, they're a very physical team, I suppose. And it was the first 15 or 20 minutes. If you can get past that, then we'll see how we get on. And I think the likes of Harrison and Rafinha just ran them ragged in the end. And Rodrigo came on, scored 2 good goals.
yeah. And it was just, like I say it again, as we said about Ellen Road at the start, Turf Moor is another one of those grounds where when there's fans there,
Yeah,
it's a horrible place to go to and try and get a result.
yeah,
Again, 2-0 win against Southampton.
yeah. It was a bit of a weird game. We rested a good few players. I don't know whether it was looking towards the Euros for some of the players or just giving a few players minutes who hadn't got some, but we got the result in the end. But again, Southampton are shocking at the moment, so I think they could be relegated next season. So
Yeah, they're going to need to do something there, obviously, and I think they might lose a few players as well in the transfer window, so they're going to have to look at what they're doing. They were just on a really bad run. I think your man Hasselhout, I think he's a good manager, but I just think
yeah,
whatever was going on there with Southampton, they just totally fell off the map in the second half of the season. And then you rounded out the season, obviously, with a good result against West Brom, 3-1, which
yeah.
was
It was bit of a fun end to the season, I guess, playing West Brom, and it was nice to see the fans back in as well. First time in Premier League in 16 years, so it was a good
maybe
result. And
makes a huge
Hernandez
difference,
was
doesn't it?
gone; it was his last game.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it makes a huge difference. Fans at Ellen Road make a huge difference. You'll see that next season Leeds will be a totally
oh
different
yeah,
package without a shadow of a doubt.
yeah.
Um,
Give us a 10% boost, I'd say.
minimum, minimum,
Yeah,
minimum.
at least.
Talk to me about Patrick Bamford. There's a kind of a conundrum there with him. I mean, I think he should be one of those first names down on the England squad. And I cannot understand for the life of me. I know you look at the England squad and you think there's always these things where, when they're picking players, it's kind of not cool to pick a Leeds player or a Liverpool player or whatever it
Yeah,
is, and they shy away from it. Bamford's been outstanding this season.
I know. Well, there was a lot of question marks about him at the start of the season, but he's obviously answered his critics, and it's not just the goals and the assists. Like the work he does off the ball is outrageous. He runs endlessly all day, full 90 minutes. He barely misses a game. Like I think he's the most like for like. If Harry Kane was to be injured, I think he'd be a similar type of player. He brings others into play. He can hold it up.
Yeah, and yet when you look at that England squad that was announced the other day, I know it's only a provisional one. Like, how does he not get on that list?
Mm.
How does he not get on that list? Like, how is Calvert-Lewin on that list and Patrick Bamford is not on that list? Like, it's just shocking.
Uh, I
Um,
think Southgate just obviously has some favourites, and he's not going to give players a chance sometimes. And he wasn't in the last squad, so I still thought he would have made it because the season he's had, he's the second highest goal scorer after Kane. So
yeah,
I don't know. Southgate just doesn't rate him, obviously.
and rarely misses a game, rarely gets injured. He played 37 games this season, only
Mm,
missed one. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And only behind in the Leeds squad, he's only one behind Luke Ayling, who played all 38 games. Again, outstanding. I just don't get the whole Patrick Bamford thing. Craig, who comes on the show a lot, talks about Patrick Bamford all the time. It absolutely annoys the hell out of Craig that he doesn't get the
Mm.
plaudits and doesn't get the mention that he should get and doesn't get included in those England squads. It's crazy. Um, talk about Luke Ayling, who had a fantastic season.
It's same with like Stuart Dallas. I never thought they'd be Premier League players. Like 3 years ago, they're playing the championship. They're bang average, and I never thought they'd even cut it at this level at all. Like the way Ayling goes flying up and down as a fullback, like it's just amazing. And he can slip into a back three as well. He's just a very versatile player, and he's had a great season.
Yeah, he's very passionate about Leeds as well, isn't he? Like he's
Yeah,
100% Leeds, isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're a very tight group. They're like more like a family than like teammates. Like even Dallas was saying the other day, like they're a very tight group, and they've been together for 3 years now. Like the majority of our squad is a championship squad. Obviously, we just got promoted. And you can just see, like, it's not all about money. It's about hard work and players and management.
Yeah, I think your starting 11, though, when you look at your starting 11, your starting 11 is strong enough to compete with anyone, really, when you think about it. It's just,
Yeah.
I think in the Premier League with the pressure of it and stuff like that, and again, being a COVID year and having such a short pre-season and no fans, obviously, at the ground, has had a huge effect on Leeds this year, as other teams as well. But I
Yeah.
pinpoint there is certain teams out there, Liverpool, Leeds, some of those teams. When you have fans in the ground, it's like a 1-0 head start nearly, you know.
Oh, completely. It'll be next season. We'll see now. The difference will be it'll be a hostile atmosphere for anyone to come, and I'd say Allen Road will be a big fortress next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we already spoke about Meslier, the goalkeeper. I mean, I think him getting that season under his belt, I think he'll be a great keeper next year. To have that under him. Jack Harrison.
100%.
Yeah. What's your feeling
He
on
could have
Jack?
made the England squad as well.
Yeah.
Well, he's a very good player. I feel like some games can be very frustrating, but like he has good numbers this season. He's 8 goals, 8 assists, so he has provided a good haul this season. But I think he'll only improve, and I think we're getting him for 11 million from Man City, so it's a good bargain.
Absolute steal these days. Rafinha.
Class. He's absolutely different level. Like I didn't think he'd be that good for 17 million, but I think he's even a 50 million worth player now. I think Man United and Liverpool were linked to him, but I think he'll be a class player one day.
Yeah, I seen a link there the other day with Liverpool. There was talk there. I think something between him and Bobby Firmino or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think he came out and he said his heart's at Leeds. He's no intention to go
Ho-
anywhere, type of thing. You know.
Hopefully he'll give us another season at least, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, I would think he will. Because I think you could be staring into a real bright season for Leeds this year. You know, with a full pre-season, possibly a few more signings, and then fans back and all the rest that goes with that. You know. Talk to me about the highlights of the season. What are the key highlights that you see there that you enjoyed?
Well, the first game was great. I thought we really like announced ourselves to the Premier League if you hadn't watched Leeds in the Championship, and has to be the Man City away one as well. Just I thought we were going to get battered after that red card, and we were under the cosh all of the second half, and just scored out of nowhere, and it was just great.
Yeah, I mean they're unreal. I suppose the lowlights would be obviously the game against
Old
United.
Trafford, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was horrible. That was tough to watch, and then even afterwards, everyone was, "Oh, Leeds style of play was still great," and you don't really want to get praised after being beat 6-2, really. Like,
yeah. I think the important thing when we look at teams, and I regard Leeds as a big club. I regard Leeds as a Premier League club. I always have. I think it was
yeah.
shocking that it took them so long to get back in there. In terms of transfers and in terms of when you look at the team, where would you like to see them improve, or is there any names you think they should be looking at? Or
Well, definitely, we're definitely going for a left back because Alioski, there's a contract on the table for him, but we're not sure if he's staying. And I think centre attacking mid will definitely be a place we're going to look. And maybe a Calvin Phillips replacement if he gets injured, because when he's been out this season, we've struggled a lot. There's not really a like for like replacement in the squad for him.
yeah, I suppose it's hard to even replace him, isn't it? Even if you do sign someone, isn't it? Because he's such a Leeds boy, isn't he? He's 100%,
Yeah, he's
you
Leeds
know.
through and through.
Yeah, I seen that even in the documentary. I'd mentioned it to you before that like he comes across that he just there was nowhere else. He had options to go elsewhere and he didn't take it up. Um, Talk to me about Bielsa and how pivotal he is in terms of Leeds.
He's completely changed our club. Like if you look back 3 years ago before he came in, we were a laughing stock. We were a joke, really. Like we went through managers like they're going out of fashion, and he's completely changed the culture of the club. Like it's his way or the highway. He's built a running track, a new training complex in the ground, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he said he'll walk. Like so, he's completely changed it for us. And he's brought like back a good feeling to the club. It was rotten to the core with previous owners and previous managers, but now it's hopeful and bright future for Leeds. Hopefully,
Yeah, he must be. I don't know. I find them very imposing and very daunting for a man. You know, I just look at him and I think, Jesus, I'd hate to go on a pitch and let him down in any way. He'd absolutely go through you for a
Oh
shot.
yeah.
But
All the players I'd say would die for him, the way he screams at them. Do you ever see him screaming on the touchline? He's never happy.
yeah,
He's never satisfied. He rarely shows any emotion or anything.
yeah. Dane O'Brien, one of the lads who's been on the podcast a few times, he's a big Leeds fan as well, and he said that Bielsa, his training sessions are absolutely crazy. He plays this murder ball stuff and everything and all with the players and all, and absolutely tortures them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
they said the first time they did it, they never thought they'd be able to do it. He said, every week we'll do this no matter what. And they said, oh, we won't be able for this. We're not fit enough. But they said they came through it, and now it's coming true for them anyway in the match days.
yeah, absolutely. Expectations for next season.
Well, I suppose you'd like to kick on, but I think anywhere inside the top 10, even to just improve the squad a bit, would be a good season. But I think we'll push on. I think we'll really like push the top 6, top 8.
That'd be great to have Leeds back in there, wouldn't it? With a European spot potentially, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a huge season for Leeds. Hopefully they'll build on that ninth place finish. Which when you look at a ninth place finish, when you think about the finish they had to the season, the last 10, 12 games or whatever it is, it's hard to believe it was still ninth, but it goes to show you just how far down they had dropped to get back to ninth, you know. Yeah, but
we weren't far off the top 6, or even I think we were only 8 points off the top 4, so it was very close in the end. But
yeah,
ninth place is a great finish for our first season back.
yeah. Well, it's nice as well when you're going into the last set of games, if you like, and you're not looking over your shoulder to see maybe, you know, is there potential there? You know, you can chill out, you can start planning for the new season. You know what sort of money you're going to pick up, you know, the budget you're going to have, what players are available, what you need. You're not turning around and going, well, we can't really plan that at the moment because we don't know whether we're going to be here or not, you know, like the likes of
Yeah,
Fulham and stuff like
exactly
that.
that.
Even Newcastle, I know,
Yeah,
who escaped in the end, but I mean, Bruce spent most of the season looking
yeah.
over his shoulder. How are you supposed to plan your squad and plan your purchase and your transfers and all on the backbone of that? But yeah, I'm going to look forward to Leeds. I'm looking forward to seeing Leeds now next season. I think they'll be different class, especially at Ellen Road with the fans back. But it's going to be a belter of a season. But I hope they go out and they sign a few players, because I mean this is what we often see happens with teams that come up. They have a first good season. We've seen it with Sheffield United. They have a first good season. They think they're okay. They don't invest that money that they get in the Premier League in the right way, and the next thing is just right to the bottom. And then once you get into that bottom three, getting out of that bottom three is an absolute nightmare. You see it with teams once they drop in.
I'd say we'll definitely add, like the talk they're saying we're going to spend, I'd say at least another 100 million. I could see it again this season. So I'd say we'll definitely be all right in that department. And I think we're a much better squad than Sheffield United, where I think when they got injuries to their big players, they struggled a lot this season. Like the likes of Egan was out and they struggled big time.
Yeah, I think they frustrated Wilder as well, because I don't think they gave him the money that they should have given him, considering they had done so well in the Premier League. You know what I mean? They should have really given them more money to spend, and I think they kind of shafted them in the end. You know.
Yeah.
But
Their
listen,
recruitment was great either, to be honest.
no, absolutely not. Well, you know, they went cheap, and that's it. You get found out then. You know.
Yeah.
Well, listen, pleasure having you on for this first season review. This is our Leeds season review. As always,
Cheers for having me on now.
not a bother. Welcome anytime. As always, head over to YouTube, Dynamo Podcast Network. Smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available through Anchor. And if you want to contact the show, you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Pleasure as always having you on, Paul. Cheers, bud.
Thanks, Niall. See ya.
Cheers.